I'm thinking of.
Woo. Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
Guys, where are we?
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
Welcome to the Outer Rim. Enjoy your stay.
Fuck you, Mr. Milchick!
And as always, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun, and with me as always, Darren Jakes from D's Reviews is joining me as my co-host, and today we're both sporting some very special hats. One that he sent to me I got it today. These are our special hats. If you can't tell what's on them, well, that there is a turd. And he's wearing something that you all might recognize. So, just in case anybody needs to know a little bit where we stand right now, this isn't going to be a political episode or anything, but hey, little quiet civil disobedience or whatever. So anyway, welcome back to the channel as we are going to be discussing Severance Season 2, Episode 6. It is called Attila. Full spoilers if you haven't watched this episode or anything from up till now, we will be potentially spoiling. And if we talk about anything else, we'll throw out some spoilers for that as well. We're back at our regular time, and that's great, as this is the sex episode. I thought that the episode that they had sex in was the sex episode, but nope. This is the sex episode. I don't know how else to say it. There is some interesting stuff, or not just sex, but relationships are heavily discussed, and we've got marriages, we've got co-worker relationships going on, we got brother and sister relationships going on. We've got Bert and like Irving and this man named Fields, who I don't know who that guy is played by. He's somebody that I've never heard of. It might be. Is it this guy? Is it John Noble? I didn't know his name was fucking, but okay. So there's
he is in this episode, before or after, maybe.
Discuss here, and I think I do want to kind of break down some of this. Just is like a couple of this, like character to character. At least with Dylan, we'll talk about all of Dylan's stuff. Then we'll talk about Irving and Bert's situation. And then we'll talk about everything else kind of as a whole. So to start with, we've got Dylan, who, when we see Dylan, poor Dylan, right? He's the kind of the hero. He's the one who got everything done, made sure that Milchick did not stop them before they were able to at least do something, say something to somebody, learn some things on the outside before the overtime contingency was shot down. And now with the supposedly kinder, gentler Lumen and the new perks for Dylan, which is getting to see his Audi's wife, his de facto wife, and his unwillingness to give that relationship up, that perk up, to help everybody else out. But I feel like this is definitely affecting his Audi's life. So eventually, how will this affect his innie? Because I feel like that's coming down. I think Merritt Weaver is doing an excellent job here. Everybody that has been picked for this show is just everybody. Like anytime somebody just pops up for whatever, and her portrayal as this wife who's now hiding her relationship with the innie from her from her husband, I think is a really, really great character arc for Dylan, and giving Merritt Weaver something to do here other than just be wife character who, you know, they could have thrown anybody in here and they could have written this anyway, but they've chosen to make it complicated and real. One of the things I like about this episode is when they do cut to the actual his Audi and her at the dinner table, how real that marriage felt.
Oh,
The
yeah.
situation at the dinner table, what we learn in his little sessions with her and how that affects her outside, but also just shows the differences between each other, and seeing the potential and what you fell in love with someone early in life, and for her having to live with the person who's failing her on the outside, when the guy on the inside is the perfect man for her, because it's kind of like those early days of a relationship, except this guy is actually figured out some things, but he also has the benefit of not having responsibilities either. So it's kind of not quite fair to compare the innie outie life for this guy, because, he hasn't had those distractions like kids and a wife. It's all kind of like nice to go, oh, I love to have all this stuff, It's very nice and cute and naive a little bit and innocent in a lot of ways.
Well, I think that's maybe the real key moment here, because in many ways also innie Dylan doesn't have the same experience as outie Dylan does. He doesn't have the same disappointments either. And I think that's what you're talking about. In Pure is like innie Dylan has only known success. His existence has been doing one thing. He's good at it. He has a dedication for it, and he views himself as his own competitive, again, kind of like maybe that pure Dylan form, like you said, that she fell in love with initially. While outie Dylan has had failures, things that didn't work on, an ability to focus on different things or be distracted. And yeah, it's that aged kind of relationship type thing. So yeah, to me, this is really an interesting episode on how, well, as I put it, love complicates things, especially when you are dealing with multifaceted people. What is the moral line in dealing with an outie versus an innie? And we have Fields having that whole discussion during the ham dinner, talking about what the pastor had said, that innies can also go to hell, that they are different, they have different souls, they're really different incarnations. But when they are the same person and even have many of the same traits, how do you tell the difference? Is there a difference? Is it just a different side of them, but still them? And that's a lot of philosophical and moral questions. And I think in this episode, they looked at almost every different angle that you could on that. And I think that's kind of the real power of what they were able to do with this.
And like, why I'm so glad I don't watch promos or anything like that, so that whenever they just drop an episode that has like all these themes, I love being fresh and not like having any kind of preconceived notions. And every single time they're able to pull something that is from like working life, and there's more of that in here in this episode. I hope that they pull it out of him soon, because it really feels like it really isn't a big deal to them in the office. They just want to know what's causing him to do this. They already know that they're clearly putting pressure on him to try to divide them and get them to do what they want. Right. That's kind of a smaller issue. That's Dylan's building that up for himself. I don't think anybody really, I think the writing in this would be lesser than if they suddenly went, oh, you did this because of that. I think they all, like, because of all the relationship stuff that they're in, would all understand that. Rena in the chat saying Noble was such a delightful surprise. Yeah. I mean, we're going to get to it real soon. We're going to get to it real soon, folks. I am like itching to talk about it if you can't already tell. What did you think about like like I love how he was looking at her and how she reacted to him looking at her. Like, I like it. It's weird. And it was like very, like I said, it kind of feels like they're going for her. It's like seeing him for the first time because it's like for him, he is kind of seeing her for the first times. Like it's that whole freshness of that when you first fall in love with somebody or you first find interest in somebody. But I still felt like it was really kind of weird when they got into like the hugging and kissing stuff. Just because but it also felt as awkward as like high school stuff. Like
Sure.
when you first go, can I hold your hand and everything, and it's just there's something cute about it, but it's something, and I just kind of felt a little uncomfortable, and maybe it was because
Well,
it's a little
because they make
too
uncomfortable
close to
choices.
home for me. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think because they make uncomfortable choices for you. I mean, from Dylan's perspective, you know, this is his wife or his Audi's wife, so there is a certain familiarity that he can automatically just let himself be comfortable in. Oh, we're married. She knows all this. I can really be expressive. We're connecting. Whereas for her, it's the constant of like, yeah, it's him, but is this right? Am I crossing a line? Am I with him or is this somebody else? You can see there's that hesitancy. He gets almost creepy because he's kind of like, yeah, I think you're awesome, you're great, and I would love to just stare at you all the time. This would be perfect. But can we do that hug thing again? I like the hug. It's like it makes sense in a way because they're married. Sure, of course. But it's new to him, but he's also like comfortable in giving into it. And that countered with her discomfort of like, am I crossing a line? Again, it's that it's a great look on that, which again is wonderfully offset with the other examinations that we do.
Yeah, and dang it, I had the other something else with. Oh, it was the marriage part. Like when she's like looking at him,
Mm-hmm.
like just from across the table, and like that look of just like ugh, of like just the discussion of possibly buying a car and the comparative like she just got done like talking about all of this and he's still like that. And I think he's going like the cliched way to do this would be, that he finds out and something, goes wrong. He tries to work against his innie.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a thing. I hope not. Again, the show is pretty smart. There are still some cliches, but I hope that they don't go that route too. I really don't want them to go that route.
Yeah.
But let's just get to the scene that I want to talk about.
I know
Because
Alyssa's
Alyssa Jean's in the house. Hey, Alyssa, how's it going? Thanks for joining the chat. Yeah, I didn't when you have this like dark dinner scene that should be like in a Hollywood movie, like maybe done by Scorsese or something, where it's like Turturro, Noble, and Walken all in one scene together. This is like once in a lifetime, folks. These guys are not getting any younger. John Noble is very old, so like it's why I'm making a big deal about this, man, because some of our every time, man, I turn on the TV, man, it's like somebody really great is gone. And so it's when you get like three legends in this room, and again, I'm a massive John Noble fan. Okay, I put the Lord of the
really.
Rings character in here. Hey, I have my this is my Fringe Division hat, man.
Oh,
Okay. I
nice.
okay. Somebody left this at the Panera I worked at over 10 years ago, and I claimed it, and I have kept this hat close to my heart for a really long time. And this picture here with the 3D glasses is the version that's what inspired me to buy my 3D glasses that I sport in some of the thumbnails and stuff. I just, me and my character actors, I had to make a big deal about this because it is a big deal. It's John Noble. It's Walt the Bishop. Walter Bishop is in the house, everybody.
And to answer anybody that might have been confused, no, he was not in season 1. Different actor who actually got the name Cecil, I believe, was how he was listed as listing, and not Fields. That didn't happen till season 2. So if anybody was like, God, did I see him? Did he look different? Did he lose weight in between? Is he feeling okay? No, 2 different actors playing the husband. They obviously just refined it a little bit more diving into this season. And who can blame them on making these choices?
So, since I blathered on early about the Dylan stuff, what did you think of this dinner scene?
Oh, it's wonderfully uncomfortable, like many of these are, in its own particular way, because there's the whole swinging feel going on, like, hey, these two got like an open marriage or something, because Christopher Walken's very like, even when he's asking over, like, come over, have some ham, we'll do something. And there's so much like sexual tension in every bit of this scene, and they're all playing it so differently. You can see Walken was like some cad, man. He was a full-on player through his life. Irving is a much more repressed, like, he's willing to go out, at the end, he's willing to play a little bit and engage. He just is a slower burn. And then you have Noble, again, the crux of this Severance threesome of like, okay, my husband is sleeping with this guy, but the one who lives inside him, who's different, but is him, is that? I mean, the way he just brings it out with like, look, there's a non-zero chance you had unprotected sex, and I should be aware of that. It's like, yes, yes, but also weird. And no, just all of the different layers of tension, and you're feeling like for everybody. I think that's the thing that goes on. I'm like, I like every corner of this, and I understand everybody's position. And man, I hope you guys can figure out a way to make it work because everybody seems willing to. There's also just an acknowledgement of their own personal feelings within it. So yeah, it's just a beautifully set up bit of, again, when you care about people, that complicates things. If this was a fly-by-night little fling, nobody would give a shit. We wouldn't be talking about this anymore. It's because emotions, the heart comes involved, that we feel we have to find a way to work through this, to make this thing happen or not happen. We have to confront it.
Yeah, this from like, there's so many things that I want to say, because I mean, like, right from get-go, we get the gist that like Christopher Walken's like, when he talks about how he's a scoundrel or whatever, he's a card. He brought a lot, like, you can tell that the Bert down in Lumen isn't too far off from this guy. The guy who'll mess with you and everything. And I think that, man, okay, there's some things like speculation version of myself started asking some questions about certain things, like, especially when we notice that, well, when we get shown that Mr. Frolic is breaking into Irving's house, and finding the papers and finding the address that says that he knows where Bert lives. Now, part of me wanted to say maybe was Walken approached, like, was Bert approached by Lumen to have this dinner so that the place would be open? But I feel like, no, I think that they would have broken in no matter what. I think that was just coincidental, that they're just to make the tension tighter, to like feel the news starting to tighten already, that as they're branching out, like, these people behind the scenes, scary people, are looking into their lives and seeing how much they know about each other and know about like Lumen itself, what their plans are for Lumen.
Right.
within
And he
that.
could easily have broken in
Um,
when Irving was at work. So yeah, it's
yeah,
not like he
yeah,
was looking for this. I think it just worked in the sense of timing. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but getting to see the different personalities here of all three people, like you talked about, um, that Walken's not getting into heaven. And I find the whole thing, like all the relationship stuff, kind of interesting because we don't like Walken says that he found his way to Lumen through Jesus, right? But I feel like I love Turturro go, Jesus Christ, like like it's a question, even though one of the most famous roles that Turturro has is playing the Jesus. That would have been a great moment if he had just said, "You talking about the Jesus?"
It would have had to pan to a bowling ball in the back, on the back wall or something, or a bowling trophy. And they would have been able to pull that off there, I think.
But but I kind of feel like Walken's relationship with Fields and the religious aspect of it comes from Fields. I feel like Fields is the kind of guy that changed or tried to change or temper the spirit of younger Bert that was wild. And he's going to church and he's doing the things that he wants. Maybe he wants to be a better person, but there's still feels like that that card, that scoundrel is still there right under the surface. And maybe Fields feels that, especially when he hears about this relationship and he wants to be cool about it because he doesn't want to lose Bert. Uh, but I also find it weird that he's fine with the idea of, well, you're going to hell, but the other you will be with me
Yeah,
because
see,
it's nice and convenient that we can separate our souls like that. To me, it's just another way for religion to dig in to you,
mhm,
so you or to make an excuse for yourself.
right. Well,
To
I
well,
mean,
I'm
and
a
that's,
piece of shit on the outside, but on the inside, I'm Ace's baby. You know,
oh no,
another reason for to let people off the hook.
there's definitely a fire sale feel for it. Like, that's okay if I fuck up here because the enemy's going to heaven, and that's the same. And for a husband relationship to, in a way, excuse that, like, yeah, I know you're never going to change, but there's a way for me to have part of you so I can excuse the actions of the outer you because I can still be promised that inner pure soul that's behind. It's again, it feels kind of excusey. Um, yeah, I'm sorry, I got to go because yeah, Alyssa's mentioning that she thinks that Bert was totally in on it. Porcelain, how would Drummond know when Irving wasn't home? Again, to me, that could work either
They
way.
watch their houses.
Yeah, but definitely there is something with Bert because we do have that sketchy 20-year comment when Severance has only been around for about 12 years, and that little look. I think there definitely is more going on with Bert and his connection with Lumen, and maybe with even one of the Egans, maybe Daddy Egan in some way. Um, but yeah, I mean, okay. I am hoping that it is not Audi Bert involved with this because there's enough things kind of going on with that. But I don't think Drummond needs that excuse in order to get
Yeah,
into Irving's home, uh, ultimately. But yeah, there's definitely something up with Bert because we get a very imprecise history. Oh, it was 10 years. Oh, it was 20 years. No, it was 10 because remember you're in and you don't know time because you're a severed guy. You know, all those excuses. Did you freeze? I just needed to know
yeah,
if okay.
and
Okay.
I do think that this show, despite itself, does have what's up?
Oh no, there was a freeze for a moment, and I didn't know if it was. Sorry, folks. I am still
Is it
hotspot my connection here, so if there's
freezing a
a hiccup, it might
little
be
bit on
me.
your end?
Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, if I am coming through, yeah, I have to apologize. I'm hotspotting because my internet still hasn't been fixed since the fires here. So I'm trying to share data here as much as I possibly can. Actually, chat is okay. I was going to say, am I freezing or is Rob
Yeah.
freezing on your end?
For me on this end,
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay.
I, I was trying to. I'm looking at my signal is going up.
They're trying to take you out. It's the hats, folks. I'm sorry. I angered FBI Director Kash Patel. They're going after everyone. They're starting to take out the small channels. It's an assault on the outer rim, folks.
I'm getting messages that I don't have a good internet connection. It's not a stable connection right now. It's what happens a lot of times when I broadcast for a little bit longer on StreamYard. Whenever I live stream, it starts to cut down like about halfway through. Usually, I think it's okay right now. Is it fine for you?
Yeah, no, you're going fine now.
Or is there a delay?
I mean, I don't know if there's a delay, but I mean, there's always a bit of a delay. But yeah, I can hear you're moving now. Oh. Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, you know, you pay for a plan too. This should not be happening via StreamYard. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a maggot. It's not a turd. It's a maggot. It's a no maggot.
I don't really know.
Oh, I found it on T Public. If anybody wanted to know, I was just trying to fill in time. I'm hoping that Rob can go ahead and reset his internet and be able to jump back in. I am happy to yell about any internet company right now. AT&T, like I said, has screwed up my internet for over a month now. Okay, you look all smooth there now. Are you back?
Yeah, I lost the virtual background, and maybe that's part of the problem. I don't know if like all the bells and whistles tend to screw with this thing. I don't know. It's not the most powerful laptop in the world, and I apologize to everybody again. But this does happen quite a bit when I'm on StreamYard, and for a certain length of time, it'll be fine, and then all of a sudden, it just starts to beep 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 all over the place. I think that's your internet, my internet. It's the world. So we were discussing though the 20-year comment. So
yes,
let's just do that over again, because I don't think anybody heard what we said. So hopefully people saw that this was longer and fast forward to here. Yes, the 20-year comment. Okay, when it was only been supposedly 12 years. Now that's only like that's what we know. Right? That's what we were being told. That this, like, again, sometimes they might be straight up telling us something that, you know, without telling us, which is, it kind of seems like, yeah, he's drunk. Maybe he's got some memory problems. He might even have a dash of Alzheimer's in there mixed in. And it, you know, making it even kind of more tragic of how this guy's trying to, you know, keep his relationship going. But they said that Bert was down there, but for like what, 7 years? But again, that's if you believe anything that they say about any of this. And there was the evil look that Bert made, but that's just a walk-in look. Like I think that could easily just be another red herring of him thinking, I really like the look of that Irving, like I'd like some of that ham and Irving, like so it could just be that. It could just be it could be a lot of things, and that's one of the great things about this show is that you just you just know until they decide to tell you. Oh, weird now. It won't let me like click on certain things now. It's kind of bizarre. So that was the whole John Noble, Burton Irving. Yeah. It's like on a delay. I pressed that like 30 seconds ago and now it's like, oh, there it is, Okay. So the next bit I want to talk about is Mr. Milchick and Miss Huang. Because this is the part that like I think is the really good work related stuff, which is to me, there's a lot. I don't know if it's a famous like phrase or something that a lot of people say, or if it's just something that some asshole said to me once, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Which is that there's always somebody younger, hungrier, looking to take your job. And
sure.
In the corporate world, it's just as crazy, except it's a little girl that's like vying for his job. And also to be like Mr. Milchick, how he's handling this and what they're doing to him, to me, is kind of like destroying the last bits of humanity that this guy has. Like, he sees all kinds of problems. Things are bothering him. Things are not sitting right with him. But he's still a true believer. And on top of everything else, now he's got Miss Huang going behind his back. And I love this interaction because it is such a familiar kind of conversation that I've seen happen and have been a part of, where somebody is like telling you something and not telling you like, again, there's lots of subtext in this scene of like, I know that it was you. Like, but I'm going to talk about it. Like, I'm going to address these things, but also like when he tells her, you can sit at your desk, like when she thinks she's going to be running all over the floor and he tells her, you can sit at your normal desk. And this little actress, my goodness, is doing so much because she's sitting there, like you can see the different emotions quickly flash before her eyes without hardly giving up anything, because no one wants to. He doesn't want to give. She doesn't want to give. He doesn't want to completely say, but they completely understand. When she's like, thank you, sir. I understand, sir. It is so like there's so much undercurrent animosity here. And then you've got his whole self-flagellation, or is this punishment of the paper clips, to the point where his hands are shaking and telling himself in the mirror to grow up and grow, and the childish folly and stuff. And to me, like I said, it feels like they're destroying this man. And he's, in order to keep what he has, he's, I don't know, still going along with it, but I feel like this guy's going to break like sooner rather than later. And we still haven't seen Patricia Arquette. And how much of this could possibly be Patricia Arquette's doing?
Well, I mean, you have to wonder how she's going to pop back in. But yeah, the whole Milchick, especially Milchick Huang relationship is really interesting because Milchick is perpetually felt and put in a position as either otherized, put down, ostracized, or in some way singled out and added additional burdens. They gave the perfect indication here when he mentions to Huang about her fellowship and is she wintertide material. She's a freaking student doing an internship in Lumen, and she can fuck with his job. So I think wintertide is some fucking super prep school or Lumen Prep or something. Maybe even something will tie in with Patricia Arquette with Miss Cobell. Maybe that's something where she came up with, or we'll get an aspiration. She was the lower end and Huang was the upper end. But here is, look, and I'm sorry, they hit on this, a black worker who has weird racial shit being done with these things, often can never really deal with it. It's obviously stuff with Natalie that she has back and forth. And now here is a kid who can ruin his job because she says he uses too many big words and, paper clips wrong. Is like, can ruin his life. So no, I think the self-flagellation is just that. I think he went, here's a giant thing of paper clips, here's a giant stack of papers, and I'm going to put these together until I am sure that the paper clip goes the exact way and it is muscle memory and it will be in there.
Yeah.
And then facing at the near, you've got to use less words, you've got to simplify everything out, and it goes from, ridiculous unchained behavior needs to be established and redirected to you have to move past childish things to you just have to grow up to just, it's like he's squishing himself, his own intellect, into a smaller box to appease lesser people because he has to do it, because otherwise he'll get smushed and put to the side. And I'm not saying Long is lesser for any reason other than just in his mind, it's like, this is a student. I work here, middle management. I manage this floor, and my whole career could be ruined because of the whims of a child. Milchick's got to snap.
Okay, so let's move on before this thing completely collapses again on us. I'm sorry, folks. I really am. This is just, who knows why these things happen. So the big crux, though, is Mark Scout. His memories starting to bleed and cross over with any Mark. And then with Helly, oh boy. Oh boy. And then Devin at the end. Helly, Britt Lauer, this is her year, man. She should get the Emmy nomination for this shit. So Mark, the Mark stuff is the brain stuff that we're seeing in the intro. He is, and it's kind of screwing with us too, because we don't get to finish scenes. Like, we don't know what happened. Like, say, when he's getting his blood pressure done with the nosebleed and then they cut away. We don't know what happened after that. We don't know how that interaction ended. We don't know if she knows that something's up, because she's like, what? So how did he get out of that? We don't know, because he didn't even remember what was going on. So that's where he's at. What he's doing is very dangerous. But when you find out that your wife is basically being, for all intents and purposes, being held against her will, without any will, without any agency or anything, she's just a drone down there. What would you do? How far would you go? Yeah. And him having that little speech at the beginning saying, how often do we all say, I regret this and that, and if I knew then what I know now, and if I had another moment with this person, I would do this, that, and the other, and now I might actually get that. But of course,
it's the bargaining aspect of grief, the 5 stages of grief, and he's talking about bargaining, and in a way, it's this, and it, reverberates to every other relationship. What would you do in exchange for? What would you risk? What are you willing to give up? What's the exchange to get what you want? And, you obviously have with Dylan and his wife, am I crossing a line? Am I cheating to get this relationship with this guy who is my husband? Am I betraying my husband at the same time? What is the bargain that I have to make? Noble and Walken and Irving and Turturro, they're literally doing a bargain around the table. What can we trade off? What seems right? What's the thing? How can we make this work out? We'll see if we can find a way. Mark, obviously bargaining with his mind, his very life. What would I give up? My reality, my consciousness, even my sense of self? Would I be another person to do this? What is the combination of those two going to be like? Or are those two consciousnesses that get to trade off? Because have you killed two people now to make the one? I mean, for Alyssa, we could do the Tuvix discussion. We won't, because I don't want to get into that. But, that there is the question of, if these are new souls, do you have the right to take that away? What is your bargain?
Yeah. It's asking so many deep questions that are like, part of you wants to go, it really makes you think about a lot of things about existence and what constitutes life, and like clones and artificial intelligence and the soul, if you even believe in that kind of thing, and like if we don't, what is it? So
well, and they're smart in the way that they can play this, is they don't have to draw a conclusion.
Yeah,
they can entertain all of these, and many things can be right or wrong or some combination of them. They're not, the strength of them comes from asking the question, not from trying to figure out an answer, or at least not a answer, just maybe the answer that's best for these people in this circumstance.
So after they have their little kitchen scene, the next time we see them, Helly and Scott and Mark are in the bathroom. And what starts out as their usual, we just got to go somewhere quiet to talk away from Lumen, it immediately goes into, I loved how he put it, we shared vessels. Wow. Okay. Is that going to be the new line? Would you like to go share a vessel with me?
So how do I break the ice on this?
Is it about time that we shared vessels?
Stop sweet talking me.
I know. Sharing. It's getting hot in here. So he tells her about the sex, and I loved her. Oh, because we are at that part where that I don't look forward to in these kind of stories, which is you kill a relationship before it even starts by something like this happening. Usually in shows, it's another character who knows somebody likes somebody and does something to get in the way or sleep with them so that they can be like, ha, ha, I took this away from you. And this is just a version of that, because what Helena did is like such a violation of she violated herself. Like the fact that she's like, we've gone about this before, about like how she views her innie, that that means that you're talking about part of yourself is an animal. Like but it's lost on these people, which a lot of things these days are lost on people. Very obvious things are lost on people these days.
Well, if they're not people, they don't count.
Yes. And I love how Britt plays this, like he's being so weird in this, which the awkwardness of the, do you want to know? Do you want to hear the details? Like, or like just the whole topic of, oh yeah, of course I wanted to. He sounds like such a guy in this moment that I was like, oh my God, if this was anywhere else, man, you'd have dug your grave. Like if you were talking to a regular Audi girl, this would be over and done. I contend that it still might be done, because I question why she had sex with him later. Because of the whole, what would be like, she says that this is a violation. She's talking about Helena controlling every aspect of her life, their lives. She practically runs the company. She's the all-powerful God for and it's her. And this whole way of hurting each other, I think, could still be continuing, because it's when he asks, like, if you want to know about it, she's like, I don't want her memory, I want my memory. And that could, it just didn't feel like a natural thing that she would want to do in this moment right away, unless there was an ulterior motive, which would be because, like, what Fields brought up was the unprotected sex. And what happens with unprotected sex between a male and female, and we talked about this last episode or last video about what if somebody got pregnant down there? Could Helly be doing this to try to mess up Helena by, like, going, oh, you want to mess with my life? I'm going to get us pregnant. Like, not knowing that could be what Helena wants.
Sure. And, and that may entirely be possible. I mean, there could be playing a lot of a deeper stuff. I have to say the way that I saw it was, I think, very much the way that she presented it. And one of the things that I liked about this episode, because you're right, this is always the part where it's like, oh, we have to have this conversation, and it always screws things up, and there's always ridiculous drama that has to be dealt with, and every show milks the crap out of that. I love that they zigged where everybody else zags. They dealt with it, and they went right through it, and they moved on. And yeah, her reaction was so perfect. The way that you really just see that betrayal when she steps away, and those moments where the camera is just right on. To me, Britt plays that whole journey perfectly of the hurt, the revile, the anger, the betrayal, and then the selfness. To me, when she comes back, it's like, fuck her. She's not taking anything more. We have this thing. You wanted to have sex with me, not her. You wanted to have sex with me. And I want that. I deserve that moment, not her. To me, this is Helly grabbing a hold of her life and getting something for herself. And that it was sweet and gentle and uncomfortable in all of the ways the previous one was a seduction. This was an exploration. This was just a thing. And yeah, to me, it was kind of a beautiful bit. And he totally did. While he was a goofball before, when she asked every time, like, could you tell the difference? Was it better the other way, and so on? And he just grabs her and just kisses and melts right in. It's like, that's the answer. You win on that particular one. He's like, no, it's because it was you. And that's the kind of cool thing. It's like you've got two Winnies that are grabbing their life, which of course then is great because immediately Mark's like, and he falls apart and he's got Innie and Outie and who knows where his brain is even going to be.
Rena also puts in the chat here, Innies are developmentally teenagers and starving for experiences. Yeah, and I think part of my own reaction to this, as usual, is because I feel as awkward as they do. Like, so I'm like looking at it like from, I have a very hard time with social interactions and stuff with the ladies. I'm trying, I'm getting better. I haven't really talked about it, but I am getting better at it. But it's still, for me, I can relate because it's just, it's to me, I feel, because of my own background, and if nobody knows, we're not getting into it here, but the people close to me and a lot of people here in the chat or people that are going to watch this will understand that, like, I'm kind of stunted and I didn't get there where everybody else did emotionally about certain things. And in a lot of ways, I'm like trapped in that kind of same like way of thinking. And I think that probably just informs like way I'm watching this, or I hope it's what you're saying, because because I lack that experience. So I'm thinking of anything but the romantic side of it, or the sweet side of it, or like how she's trying to find something beautiful, and the contrast of like what you said, seduction, and the awkwardness of just being under a desk and everything. And I'm like, like, ugh, like why did like
There's gum under
but
those
that's the
desks.
way life is. And that's the way it is. Like when you're young and you're like you do things like that they did. And so I guess, that's just me working out my own stuff. So like I said, I hope that you're right about that. But I also look out for unprotected sex baby.
Yeah. Well, and you get the reversal of that later on after he kind of flips and leaves the doctor and goes eat. And then Helena comes into the frickin' restaurant. Like, there's a familiar, she's like super familiar, but obviously unfamiliar and knowing things. It's like, I was so uncomfortable. Everybody was, and Mark was uncomfortable. You could tell he's like, what's going on? Does she know something that I don't know or supposed to? And I mean, obviously she knows a lot more than he knows. But and it's like, and what is her whole goal of doing this? And that's what you're at. Does she want to bring him home to be the family? Is this trying to be? Is she hitting on him? Is this just all of it was wrong?
Yeah, it looked like she was looking for recognition, some kind of like, is the person I had sex with in there?
Right.
There seems to almost be genuine interest, almost as if like in some ways Helena is a little bit like an innie in some ways, that maybe she doesn't understand a lot of stuff too because of the way she was raised.
Well,
she says he'd be the first, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think she's kidding.
No, but I would also wonder, look, they've already done Severance for like pregnant people who think they have children of whole different names than the other person names. Who knows if this is an innie or an outie or a middly version of Helena? I mean, it's hard to tell because the company treats everybody like crap. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like the levels of the Severance. I'm really curious. We've touched on this before, but I don't even know if Audi Helena is the original at this point.
Right? I know. And his whole, like, she also clocked, I don't know how much it'll mean, but she clocked how much he ate, which could be something later if they want to go, oh my God, of course.
Right.
But having to sit in front of somebody, okay, first, I mean, because she and him had sex. He doesn't know about it, but he does know that the person sitting in front of him is keeping him from his wife.
Right.
And the restraint that would take, even under the stress and the physical like problems that he's giving himself to find the answers, to get the answers, to get her out of there. My goodness. I don't know if I'd be able to handle that situation where it wouldn't be just like, you're going to take me back to your office and you're going to show me my wife right now. Like, what's stopping him from doing that? Like, and I don't mean that like, what's stopping him? Like, he's being smart about it, but I don't think I'd be that smart.
Oh no, and he obviously knows that she's fucking with him in some way, that there's some thing that he is lacking, that she is testing and pushing him on. And yeah, the fact that he can't give up his hand, because he's also got to think, well, the doctor asked, is like, he's watching if I've messed up. Have I messed up? Are they watching? Like you said, she's tracking how much he's eating. Are they suspecting something? And it is what eventually pushes him to go back and say, all right, let's do this thing, flood my brain, because he may lose his window. So, yeah.
I'm bringing this up because I recently had an interaction that was kind of like this, just yesterday, in fact. where I was talking to somebody that I wanted to talk to, but it was one of those like where you're trying to make an excuse to be around that person to talk to them.
Mhm.
And this whole interaction felt like that. That's why I am kind of thinking that I think she really is genuinely interested in him in some fashion, and that she just the way that she's looking, yeah, it's weird, it's creepy, but there's an innocence to it at the same time as well to me, that she really is looking for some kind of connection between this guy, and how she's doing it seems very like she doesn't know how to have regular interactions. You could say maybe it's because she's rich and she's never had to like do this before. And again, it could be a million different reasons. Again, it could be, who is this? Is this a third Helena? I don't know. But I just thought it was really interesting that as creepy as she is, she seemed like really kind of it was kind of sad to
Well,
me.
I think what layers the creep is because, okay, and please, audience, give me a little breadth as I use this as an example. It's like a rapist hitting on their victim
Okay.
because she did violate this form of himself that is not him. You know, Rohypnol, under the influence, different version. She seduced and took advantage of this person, and they are completely unaware of it. And even if she's falling for him, it is a
Oh
weird
wow.
interaction on that level.
Wow.
And in
So
that
like,
way, it reminds me of Legion,
oh
because this is
wow.
when David Haller crossed the line,
Yeah.
is when he messed with his girl's memory so they could sleep together, because before she was fine and now she was doubting, and he kind of actually took advantage. And to me, that is the stepping over the line, when they ignore the other person's, sense of self, value, self-determination, all of that, where it becomes that violation. So yes, I'm not saying that she is necessarily evil, or her approach doesn't have a justification on her end, but it's also because she was able to get away with something. So there is a creepy kind of layer, like, ooh, maybe now I could get this version of you.
Yeah. The the stuff that like is that she's doing, like as you're saying it, it's just it's it's so freaking crazy. Alyssa says here, why do you guys think Mark all of a sudden wanted to go through with the procedure after his encounter with Helena? Well, I mean, to me, it's just as simple as she had the like he seemed freaked out, but I think it was just because he's realizing more and more of like, this is like, I've got to get her out of there.
Yeah.
I have got to solve this faster than I thought, because not just she's the head of the company. She introduced herself. He could tell that this was an act in some way. He doesn't understand what it all entails. But if she's there, that means he doesn't in his mind, he probably doesn't think he has much time.
Yeah, to me, it's a window is closing. I don't know what this is, but it's
What would they
freaking
do
me
to
out.
her if they found out that I know?
Right.
So it's like, again, it's a very believable exit. I mean, he sat there for a second, but then as he drives away, you can tell he's driving away at high, like, like.
And did anyone else notice when he gets into his car and you look over his shoulder of the restaurant, the only part of the sign you see is "FU"? I have to feel that that was intentional.
Oh yeah, that's why it's like everything feels intentional on this
Yeah.
show. So yeah, he goes home. We get some off like basement brain surgery, which just
No.
can't be safe.
Oh, so uncomfortable. Made me so uncomfortable.
And Devin shows up, and again, just every time the dialogue even in a scene like this, they're just popping like they're just acting like brother and sister. I know I keep saying this. It's so well done. It's so well done, and like every reaction is believable. Even like when he's telling her off, like that's just how brothers and sisters are. They're yelling at each other one second, and they're patting, like and holding each other the next. And him collapsing on the ground once again, because it doesn't end there. The end is with Bert closing the door and get us getting "Sunshine of Your Love," which is another great musical choice for this show. I don't know, all the bleeding and the crossovers and stuff. It's getting crazier and crazier. Let's see, we got like 7, 8, 9. We got 4 more weeks of this. What else do you got? Do you have anything else?
No, Art's noting Alyssa also mentioning in the chat that FU or foo is father in some language, and that the show is telling us Mark is going to be a Mandarin for father. Is adding on to that. So
Then it'll be
that would make sense. Or
is it
FU.
any
Maybe
Mark?
it works either way.
Is any I guess it's the same junk, so I guess it's just the intent, right? So like it just depends on which version knocked her up. I don't think it really matters, but
yeah,
gonna be some confusing conversations coming up down the road. But yeah, I mean it all is centering towards like him being the father of somebody fairly soon, which is gonna make further seasons, I don't know, bizarre. Are we gonna get time jumps so that the pregnancy moves faster? I don't know, but those are questions for another time, because we've still got 4 weeks. We don't know what's going to happen in those 4 weeks. Big Man Frolic knows about Bert. Irving does not know this. Dylan G has got a wife who's in love with his innie. Mark Scout has got bleeding crossover memories. Poor Mr. Milchick is destroying himself. And Miss Cobell is nowhere to be seen while all this real rotten shit's going down. And when she shows up again, man, I have a feeling we're gonna be asking even more questions about what's going on in this show. So anyway, before the stream cuts out on us again, we didn't do our favorite moment. And that's where do we do that here? Our favorite moment. I mean, it's real easy for me. It's anything it was the Fields scene. It's John Noble. It should be the scene with Helena for me. It should be, but it's not. It's John Noble because he was in this. It just gets pushed out. What about you?
And I can't argue those were all awesome. I'm going to go the whole other way. And my favorite, but probably smallest and most ridiculous scene, it's just the one that keeps popping in my memory, is when they're in the beginning, when they're talking about the map. And Dylan is like, oh, it's behind the poster. And Helly is just like, oh, the poster of when you were actually being brave. It's just such a perfect Helly little line. It's just such a little dig with all the back and forth. It just made me laugh, because you're like, yeah, that's him, pulling in there when he's actually doing his portrayal against. But that's what Lumen is using as the pro any sign, which is hilarious. But she could actually dig at him, because he is kind of giving it all up for his own personal togetherness time. I don't know. It made me laugh, and every time I think of it, I just have a little giggle. So you can have a big one. I'm going to take the silly one this week.
Oh no, I just, because it's just a once in a lifetime scene of these 3 actors getting to just play off each other, and John Noble being the new guy to the moment, and just he's never played a role like this. I don't know if any of these guys have played a role like this before. And to just step in and just be this guy. Like, I feel like I already know this guy's history and stuff, and we only had a scene. Yeah, it might have been cut a little bit, but one dinner scene to me was enough to say so much. So that's where this video is going to end. It's a little awkward because of all the problems there in the center. Hopefully people were able to fast forward and catch up here, and hopefully we'll just try to work on. You just never know when a bad internet connection is going to hit you. So we'll keep trying, and hopefully you guys will be able to understand us. What's going on my channel outside of this is I've got some comic videos to edit. I did just put up a video for Reacher, just a brief video saying why I like this show that to me is like something I normally wouldn't watch. That was kind of an impromptu thing that I did, but we've got more comic book stuff coming. We've got Severance every Friday or Saturday night, depending on what's going on in our worlds. Darren, you just did the number 2 episode of all time of Star Trek over on Mark's channel of Enchantment of Eternity.
Yeah. Had a great time. Alyssa was over there, was talking about Inner Light from The Next Generation. Was a really fun discussion. Lots of different views on the episode. Overall, of course, we all love the episode for different reasons and in different levels.
And then we've got when does Daredevil start?
Daredevil starts on the 4th, I believe, that Tuesday night. So what? Just less than 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be on there. So I gotta talk to Rob. We're gonna figure things out, but we'll see Wednesday. We'll see if it's Wednesday or Thursday. We'll let you know what time we'll be able to work that out. But yeah, you'll be doing Daredevil Born Again over on D's Reviews starting in the beginning of March.
All right. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate everybody who checks these out. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on both of our channels. Him over at D's Reviews. Me, well, you're already here. So if you don't know how to find the subscribe button, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, hit the bell for all notifications. Yeah, it sounds like I care so much about it too, right? It's like, just do it, whatever. I don't care.
You have to say it. The YouTube gods insist.
Break your laptop hitting that subscribe button and make sure you tell your parents, screw off and get me a new laptop because I'm going to break the next one hitting subscribe even harder. Whatever. So anyway, we will see you all next week. And did you guys ever sever your balls in the elevator? Was a good line. At first I was like, I read it wrong. I was like, have I ever severed my balls in an elevator? No, but I know that it's been a long day. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Rena and Alyssa, thanks for stopping by. As always, you make the chat and the videos so much better when we have stuff to comment off of. And we'll see you all on the next video. Bye. Oh, yeah. Enjoy the outro.
Fuck you, Mr. Milchick!
Ba-ba-ba-bum. Ba-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum-bum. 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 Ba-bum-bum-bum.